Welcome back to another Smash Ultimate moveset. It's been a while since I've done a solo moveset video, so I've had a few in the works at the same time for a while now. I decided instead of taking what could be months to release them all, I'd pack all three together into one big video. The characters aren't connected in any way thematically, they're just from games I've been playing recently, but they do share a similarity in that all three movesets were hard to realize for one reason or another. Regardless of the difficulties, I think they'd all bring something special to Smash despite almost having zero chance to get in. Let's jump in with our first fighter. Our first newcomer is the lovable little puzzling blockhead who already has his foot in the Smash door with a spirit, Qbby from Box Boy. His distinct abilities and biggest roadblocks both come from his, well, squareness. Qbby's lack of limbs adds a layer of difficulty in creating a functional moveset, especially when it comes to things like grabs and aerials. You would probably have to do something like the psychic characters with a little selection marker holding the enemy in place. If this could be figured out though, Qbby would have a very interesting toolkit. Standing only a little taller than Kirby and about the same size, Qbby would be slow in close range but be able to compensate for that with his smash attacks and specials. First though, his tilts. Side tilt would be a quick lean forward striking with his top corner, up tilt would be a headbutt and twirl, and down tilt would be a slide forward along the ground. Also, I said that aerials would be tricky earlier, but I do know that his dare would be a blocky ground pound. Now to get into his smash attacks. To make up for his tiny legs and lack of limbs, charging a smash attack would show a reticle of where a block is about to spawn. You could then release the move and create the block for big damage, with the block disappearing after a second hanging out as an active hitbox. All of his smash attacks would generally be the same, with the down smash placing a block under him that raises him up and spawns 2 more blocks to each side. You could possibly take a similar approach with the other aerials, but it's still kinda weird and maybe there's a better option. While his smash attacks extend his range a bit, it's really his specials that can give him a strategic edge and make him more unpredictable. Neutral B transfers his core mechanic in his game over to Smash, allowing him to grow up to 3 additional blocks that he can then move around with. This does open him up more for taking damage, but helps him with his smash attacks and other block-based normals generating from the end of his additional blocks, letting Qbby attack from strange angles. Tapping B again would drop the blocks, turning them into makeshift platforms, and tapping one more time would erase the blocks. Maybe you could hold B to immediately erase them instead of dropping. Side B and up B add even more versatility on top of expanding his reach. Side B is called Slide, which fires his attached blocks forward as a decent mid-range projectile. And up B is Hook. Hook would allow you to grow an additional 5 boxes much quicker than Neutral B, and on release you would quickly fly through your connected blocks to the end. It's not the easiest recovery, but you can cover a good distance and you would be able to jump again out of it. Down B would fire a slow-moving zapper block forward that would deal good damage and stun the opponent. Finally, Qbby's final smash takes a little artistic liberty. I didn't find anything too worthy in the game, so I decided it would activate by trapping enemies in a block spawn reticle. Qbby would then grow to a giant scale, finally lashing out with one giant grown box to trapped enemies. Qbby would offer a lot of new mechanics to Smash, something Sakurai has mentioned several times as being important to DLC additions. I also think the ults would be fun, split between Qbby and QC and using different costume pieces from the game. Still, Qbby's structure is not the easiest to work with. I don't know what the stage would be, and if Spirit's deconfirmed then he's already out of the running. Still, I think he could be a cute creative newcomer. Moving on from a character with 4 edges to one with even more edge. For a while, Smash speculation has mentioned the concept of a horror rep, often citing games like Resident Evil. While there's a lot of great ideas out there, a problem I have with that mindset is that the protagonist in many horror franchises is often overshadowed by the iconic monsters, where the actual horror element would come into play for a moveset. That's why I like the idea of Trapper from Dead by Daylight. The poster child of the game, Trapper would represent horror gaming in the form of a killer reminiscent of so many iconic horror movie killers and asymmetrical survivor monster gameplay. His odds are slim to none, at most maybe a costume, but Evan McMillan here still brings a lot to the table. Trapper would be a heavy, similar in feel to Ganondorf, with a lot of strength and a surprising speed. Far from the slowest character, he's made to run enemies down. His weakness comes from harsh end lag on the bulk of his stronger moves, making timing imperative just like in DBD. His normal moves come from that moment-to-moment gameplay. First, his cleaver, making up his attacks for things like tilts and smash attacks. Nothing too flashy here, mostly just variations of damage and range. He would also use things like low kicks and stomps for lower attacks. Trapper would also have a cargo carry like Donkey Kong, able to drag opponents around. Identical to his game, this will come into play later. My main area of trepidation for Trapper's moveset is his aerials. He's a very sturdy, grounded character, so I think it would be hard to make his aerials feel natural while still making them useful and fun. This same difficulty did not carry over to his specials, as there was a lot to pull from. His neutral special would be his primary ability, the Bear Trap. Trapper would be able to place up to 2 traps on the ground, both fairly obvious but able to do big damage and hold opponents in the ground for a moment, similar to being buried. Side B would be a lunge with 2 options. Simply pressing the button will trigger a command grab followed by a stab into immobilization, while double tapping would change the attack to a more basic dashing slash without the stun ability. I was debating having the full grab and immobilization also grant additional damage on the next attack as a sort of reference to obsession, but the follow-up from being prone is probably reward enough. Up B is a mix of a lot of concepts from the game which I called stalk. Trapper would become intangible and gain greatly increased mobility and jumping, similar to Hero with Acceleratl. He would emerge with a big slash like Meta Knight with a bunch of end lag, kind of a non-conventional recovery option. His down B is called Terror. There's a couple ways this could work too. My main idea is that Trapper would charge and release a wave in a circular radius around him, and enemies hit by this wave would have to perform a timed button press or be stunned for a couple seconds. If this is too gimmicky, it could just be a radius that follows him that ups the chance that enemies will trip or completely whiff attacks. Trapper's final smash would harken to the central goal of the killer, called Sacrifice. A multi-pronged hook will appear from the ground and draw enemies into it. This is where the cargo grab really comes in handy, allowing Trapper to quickly bring opponents in. Damage is dealt quickly the longer enemies are trapped on the hook, ending with a hit that either sends opponents flying or instantly KOs them if they are above 100 or so %. Regardless of a couple roadblocks to having Trapper be fully functional and probably not fitting the feel of Smash, Trapper could have a really cool moveset that relies on using all of your specials together to cause complete oppression. His ults could be based on the other killers, and his stage could be some variation on the Macmillan estate. He'd definitely be a fighter to be wary of. Finally, this moveset is pretty tricky. XCOM is a turn-based RTS series about defending against or defeating an alien invasion of Earth, with an elite division of soldiers known as XCOM. There's a lot of base building elements and resource rationing, but the main make or break gameplay comes from strategically maneuvering your soldiers on the field as you take out aliens and pray that 80% chance to hit actually means anything. We've seen some elements of this style of game in Smash, like in-game character changing with Pokemon Trainer, and menu-based attacks and critical hits with Hero. For this moveset, I'll be focusing on a weirder take on the Pokemon Trainer concept. It's in some ways more complicated and in some ways simpler. As reflected in the fighter name XCOM, you will take control of the 4 main class types of soldiers: Ranger, Specialist, Grenadier, and Sharpshooter. These 4 would be easy enough to program as they would have all the same normal moves with only slight stat changes. Ranger would be fastest, Specialist would be evenly balanced, Grenadier would be heaviest and slowest, and Sharpshooter would be hardest hitting but lightest. Their movesets would pull from the more generic attacks from XCOM like pistols, grenades, and hand-to-hand combat, like a cross between Snake, Mega Man, and Samus. They'd all be kinda heavy with middling speed and damage on their normals. But now with the specials, we really get into what makes them tricky. To start with the main distinction from Pokemon Trainer, while you still choose what unit to begin the match with, when switching off, that character will deactivate and disappear where you were last standing. You would then spawn the next unit in at the initial spawn point, move them around, and could switch to another unit until all 4 are out on the field. I think this would be designated to down B. I know it could hypothetically be a shield B thing like Inkling, but my idea is that if you hold down B, the 4 class icons will appear and let you choose which unit to become. I also don't know if down B would let you switch in midair and freeze the current unit or what. Like I said, it's complicated. But ideally, this fighter would let you position units at key locations around the stage and switch to efficiently surround and combo opponents. However, having these 4 around the stage would come at a cost. While you can switch units freely, they will retain any damage they take, and the death of any one of them will cause you to lose a stock. That unit will then be unavailable until they return from an elongated respawn period, something like 30 or 40 seconds. So let's get into each unit's special characteristics that inform their playstyle. Neutral B uses the primary weapon of every soldier. You could deck them out with the magnetic or plasma variants if you wanted to make them more sci-fi and less realistic. First, the Ranger. This unit focuses on close quarters combat, wielding the shotgun as their primary weapon, firing a short but extremely strong shotgun blast. Based on the rapid fire ability, holding B would charge up and fire an additional shot, firing twice in a row. The Specialist would fire the assault rifle, reaching about as far as Hero's mid-level side B. It would fire a constant volley while allowing you to move like Banjo. This wouldn't be much of a kill move, but would be great at racking up damage. For the Grenadier, the heavy cannon is used. This is similar to the assault rifle, but movement while firing is much slower and it's a bit shorter ranged. However, the cannon absolutely destroys shields, making him great against more defensive players. This is based off the Shredder ability from the games. Finally, the Sharpshooter would use a sniper rifle. This would naturally have tremendous range, reaching basically across the majority of stages with massive damage. It's balanced out a little bit by having pretty bad end lag, so precision is key. Now for the side specials. The Ranger would use their Blade for a strong slash without a ton of knockback. This move would also have a charged second slash like the shotgun, as well as incorporate the Shadow Step ability by completely bypassing enemy counters. The Specialist would use their Gremlin drone with Combat Protocol. Tapping the command will have them hone into an enemy and attack with a stunning electrical burst. Holding the button will charge the Gremlin with a capacitor discharge, moving slower to the enemy but exploding that electrical stun in a large radius and more damage. True to his name, the Grenadier would use their grenade launcher, firing a strong, bouncing projectile that would explode on impact or on a short timer. Unlike other grenades, this would not be able to be picked up. Lastly, the Sharpshooter would perform the Kill Zone ability to represent XCOM's Overwatch mechanic. This would function as a ranged counter, with the Sharpshooter scanning a cone of vision out in front of them. Anyone caught in this cone would receive a strong sniper blast. Every soldier's up B stays the same, using the Gremlin for a controlled recovery like Snake. And as I said, down B would probably be the end turn mechanic. But if it was designated to shield B, then down B could be used for a couple different unique functions, like a Skulljack stun, unique grenades like the Frost Bomb, healing from the Gremlin, things like that. The final smash would be a cutscene where the XCOM army works together to take the opponents down and win the day. The XCOM newcomer would be difficult to get fully right while not bending the rules too much. Plus, some of the awesome aliens probably have easier abilities to transfer or could make great costumes or assist trophies. I would at least like to see those aliens appear as hazards on whatever stage is used. As for alts, it would probably just be some simple, diverse men and women designs with different primary colors. While I may have less specific ideas about this fighter than the other two, it's a concept I'd love to see. And that covers the 3 moveset ideas I've been kicking around. Let me know what you think, which one was your favorite, or if you thought that none of them make any sense. Like I said, these aren't predictions, aren't expectations, just 3 unique characters that bring new core moveset concepts to the table. Stay tuned for more Smash content, go check out my series Ready Moveset Go with our latest episode covering sports reps, and thanks for watching.